You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.
This is the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA, a weekly recap of your Eagles and news around the NFL. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Rob's Automotive and Collision, BCWSA, Chickies and Pete's, Begley, Carlin and Mandio Law Firm, Penworth Financial Services, Penn Community Bank, The Capitol Grill, and Ventresca's LTD. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA. Now, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco.
Oh, welcome, everyone. Like the man said, it's the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. Our show tonight is produced on-site by Chris Ermer. Andrew, great to see you, first of all.
Great to be with you, Adam.
Yeah, we're back here. It is Week 18. I don't know how it got here, but it's here. So, Andrew, and we'll get to the big game, obviously, in terms of seeding. We'll talk about that. But everyone's fixated on the offense and what happened in the second half. We're going to get to that. But let's take your overview of what happened in Buffalo. Really, I mean, if you're an Eagles fan, your nails are probably gone. It was a nail biter, but somehow they won. What's your overview? Give us your overview to start the show.
Yeah, so the defense was lights out. You know, to be able to hold a Buffalo Bills team that, yes, they're devoid of a lot of offensive weapons, but when you have James Cook and you have Josh Allen, you're always going to be a threat to score points. And I thought the Eagles, especially their pass rush, did a really nice job getting home, rattling Josh Allen, who obviously wasn't as mobile as he ordinarily is with the foot injury. The offense, I thought Jalen Hurts early in that game made some big-time throws into tight windows and had the offense on schedule. They weren't playing from behind the sticks. And then in the second half, it was a stark contrast. You didn't see the same fluidity. They weren't able to string together any semblance of offense. And they were fortunate that the Eagles' defense was able to hold them off. But I think the defense proved once again, you can say it was the Raiders, you could say, look at different points of the season, but they are absolutely legitimate, and I view that as an elite defense right now.
Right now, no defense by every metric, yards per play, yards per game, scoring, everything you look at, it's phenomenal. And yes, they've played some cream puff teams, right?
Sure.
Washington 2 weeks ago, the Raiders, but they also did very well against the Chargers, okay? Very well against the Chargers. Yes, Justin Herbert, surprisingly, was able to beat them by running the football. You wouldn't think that. He hasn't really been a runner since Oregon. But, again, this game in Buffalo, and the interesting thing is, and Andrew, this surprised me. I didn't see this coming. I know you can throw in the rain when it's not windy, but Hurts dropped back 20 times, like 20 pass attempts? Was that a surprise to you?
Yeah, it was. And actually, to add to your point about the defense really quickly,
Sure.
Adam, also against the Packers and the Lions, they showed up as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it was windy and the conditions probably played a part in it, but it's not a mirage. This unit is for real, and I think they're only getting better the more they're playing with each other, and Vic Fangio getting a sense of his personnel and how to best utilize them. But, yes, I was surprised that Hurts dropped back 20 times in that game.
No, they had some success. There's no question. They were able to move the football. The 4 and outs, though, 3 and outs, they're a problem. We saw a lot of them in the second half. It was dreadful. Eagles are the worst. They're ranked 32nd in 4 and outs. That's not good. 3 and outs, excuse me. They get up 1-2-3 punt, 1-2-3 punt. You don't want that. That's embarrassing. But offensively, it's interesting. But it was like throw the football, mix the run in. Barkley had 51 yards, which is a good half. Hurts at over 100 yards now, 111. But, Andrew, let's not forget, there was a drop. There was a penalty that would have maybe been a touchdown. So I thought I was pretty – because I remember I was doing a halftime Patreon chat. I'm like, wow, they look really good offensively. And then, Andrew, we're going to take it from there, and we'll get to the defense because I want to talk a lot more about the defense.
Yeah, sure.
But we're going to finish this off here. Second half, Andrew, what were your thoughts overall, just as an overview of their philosophy of what they did, how they did it? What do you think of that?
Yeah, too many negative plays. MAs, missed assignments. I didn't think that was blocked up particularly well up front. and Saquon Barkley was not able to generate much. I think he finished the game with 3.9 yards on average. And that's a bottom tier rush defense that they were going up against, and they weren't able to capitalize.
3-6 actually.
3-6.
Not good.
Wow.
Yeah,
and when you look at that, it just seemed like they were running into stacked boxes, and they didn't have any rhyme or reason. There wasn't like you look at the sequencing, and I think there's a lot of reason to question that. It didn't seem like the players were being put into optimal positions to be successful.
The thing that surprised me, Andrew, off of what you said was, so the first half, and they're really good out of no huddle. Particularly empty with 5 eligibles. Mm-hmm. Their success rate is extremely high. Okay, they did well against Buffalo in the first half. For whatever reason, they stopped doing it. And you talked about it. They would just run it right up the middle. We know all year watching this, they don't block well up the middle. I understand you can't run every play outside. I get that. But I always say when it's not working, try something else.
Sure. And
it was like running against a brick wall. I mean, Hurts had 0. It's the second game of the season. He had 0 yards passing. How does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a prevailing theme that we've seen all year, where they're not able to put together 4 complete quarters. There are so many inconsistencies, the lack of sequencing, and the innate feel for the game, and then
that's a good point. I like that phrase.
Just the overall executional lapses that you see, and their inability to lean into their philosophical approach of running the football. I mean, you look at all that, and that sort of makes up the stew as to why the offense has not played up to the standard that they set for themselves.
Or, Andrew, honestly, when it's working, again, first half, spreading it out a little bit, too many close formations in the second half. It looked really it's probably the worst half that I've seen them not only perform, but from a schematic standpoint in years.
Yeah.
Now, the shame of it is since the bye, the passing game has been better and better and better. Hurts has been better and better and better. In fact, that throw that he made to Devontae Smith, I think is the best throw of his career.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right in the tight window.
You could see it actually on the Eagles' social because I don't know how they got it. It's not all 20. They got some other – because I know that all teams have their own people who come and film the game. That view – because I remember watching it on TV. I'm like, wait a minute, what did he just do? And then they showed the replay. I'm like, there was no window. How did he do it?
That was an insane throw.
Yeah,
really, talk about threading the needle.
Yeah. So I like it. See, that's the thing about this all. Through this all, Hurts has been better. He's thrown the ball better. We've talked about it. Pull the pin. Be more aggressive. Don't be risk-averse. But it's the coordinator, Kevin Patullo, who was risk-averse after being very aggressive, saved 2 plays in the first half, which were they're called safe plays. The 3rd and 8 run to Shipley was a safe play.
Yep.
And the pass out to the flat. I mean, if you want to call that a screen, it may have looked like one. But it was so poorly formed. It just looked really bad on another
give-up play. It was.
Yeah, the coaches call it a safe play because I've asked this question before to coaches. No, they hate give up. They hate that unless it's like the last play of the half when you're just going to run it up the middle because you want the clock to run out. But I totally agree with you. So offensively, look, they have to get the mojo back. On your point, if you want to call a 4-quarter game, call a 4-quarter game. Do what you did in the first half. And it's one thing. Jeff Mosher said this on our postgame show. You know, it's one thing if you're up by 4 touchdowns, but you're up 13-0 against maybe the best come from behind quarterback in the National Football League. What are you doing? That's another problem I had.
Yeah, and for anyone expecting a magic formula here, that this is going to be their offense, give or take. It's not going to probably won't look as bad as it did in Buffalo, but we've just seen 17 weeks of this. This is their offense, and I think it's also important to note that this is the vision of Nick Sirianni and how he wants this offense to look. Protect the football. You've seen their record where it is, when they protect the football and when they, versus when they give it away. And they're leaning too heavily on their defense to sort of bail them out while they build up a small lead and then they sort of preserve it. That's the way that I view it personally, as I've seen it throughout the season. It's sort of a conservative approach once they reach a certain point. Too much so. I think it's to their detriment.
You're listening and watching the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. So it's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. And Andrew, the thing about this team, you just talked about defense, because I could literally talk about this the whole show. We have to talk about other things here. It's just remarkable what they're doing here. It's Jalen Hunt, I felt it would take him 3 or 4 years to be what he is right now. Because you know it. I mean, the guy played edge 2 years in college.
He was a safety
before that.
Cornell before
Okay, and he had
that,
that crazy growth spurt at 19 years old. And, he grew 3 inches. He's somewhere around 6'3.5". Long arms, explosive. He's become, he's grown so much. I mean, Nolan Smith in his limited role is doing well. But right now, how could Nolan Smith play over him? You can't.
Yeah, J-Looks has performed better than Nolan. J-Looks Hunt he leads the Eagles with quarterback hits. I think he has 23. He has 2 interceptions as well. But when you really look at what he's doing rushing the quarterback, it's not only that, it's setting the edge with violence. And I think you're able to see from watching his pass rush technique that he has a lot more varied approach this year. There's a lot more tools in his toolbox, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. He also looks a lot bigger physically this year than he did compared to last year, and he's sort of flying around and making a lot of plays. And we also should highlight Jalen Phillips.
That's the other guy I want to get to, 50. I was going to get to him. Yeah, he's a man. You want to talk about setting the edge? Watch him. Setting the edge means you're playing your side to force the run inside. As a force defender, he's phenomenal. He's so long. Good pass rush, relentless. And thankfully and we'll see if he's leaving, listed on the injury report tomorrow. The practice week is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, walk through Saturday, game Sunday afternoon at 4:25. But because when he limped off, I was like, wow. And then they showed him he was pumping his fist with the helmet in his hand. I'm like, he must be fine because what is he doing?
I saw that.
But this trade has worked out pretty well. He's been way better than I expected.
Yeah, Nakobe Dean, when initially asked about Jalen Phillips when he first arrived, he said, I love edges who set edges. And he said that's what Jalen Phillips did. And he continues to do. You see the length, the athleticism, the physicality. He's really embraced what it means to be on a winning team amongst, a close-knit group of players. He's never won a division before, and he knows what's in front of them. So I think he's really just embraced this opportunity here. And I think he's played the most snaps that he has as an Eagle just on Sunday against the Bills. So he's really responded well to Vic Fangio's coaching. Obviously, they had prior background together in 2023, but I don't know that too much can be made off of that trade. He's made a remarkable impact, and his presence has also helped J-Looks Hunt and Nolan Smith.
I mean, the length that they have and the athleticism. And then I got a couple things here because we got to stay in the defensive line before we take a first break. Jordan Davis continues to do it. I mean, their job they did against James Cook. I was stunned. James Cook is one of the best. He's better than his brother Dalvin. They shut him down. I know he got some yards late to bump it up to 70 yards, but Jordan Davis, I don't know what else to say about this guy because I never saw – first 2 years he was a bust, okay? Late last season he came on, but right now, Andrew, where are you at with Jordan Davis?
Yeah, well, to put James Cook's afternoon into perspective, he was averaging 102 yards per game and 5.3 yards per carry. The Eagles held him to 74 yards and 3.7 yards per carry. So great job there. But to your question, Adam, Jordan Davis, what can you say about him? He has 4.5 sacks this season. I wish that there was a number to really showcase how many times he stopped running backs for no gain, literally at the line of scrimmage. And just his ability to be in top condition, play, he's completely surpassed his snap share from last season.
I was just going to get to that because when he's playing over 60%, he played 62%. That tells you he's playing nickel. Go ahead.
Right, and then on top of all that, he's grown into a leader. And when you talk about vibes and locker room culture, I think a lot of that is derived from Jordan Davis. You're not going to have a bad day if you're around Jordan Davis. He brings the energy, and he keeps everybody around him, upbeat and positive. So that's another aspect to his leadership off the field.
All right, everyone. Before we take this quick break, we'll let everyone know we're here at Chicken Pete's on Roosevelt Boulevard. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. And after we come back from our first break here, we're going to go over the injury report, a little bit more on last week's game and what to expect against Washington. You're listening to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Pete reminding you Chicken Pete's gift cards are the gift that always fits and always gets returned. all holiday season long, buy a $50 Chicky and Pete's gift card and get a $10 Chicky and Pete's bonus card. Then follow our socials for the days of Chicky and Pete's double bonus days. Get 2 $10 bonus cards for every $50 you spend. Year after year, the gift that always fits and always gets returned. Gift cards from Chickies and Pete's.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. We're also on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. We're here till 7. Andrew, it's time now for this week's injury review brought to you by the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689. That's 215-806-3689. All right. The big one is Andrew Lane Johnson with a Lisfranc sprain. See, this doesn't come down to this. We know the Eagles, if they win and Chicago loses their second seed. Like 2 weeks ago, no one was talking about this because the scenarios were ridiculously tough. I know that they want to be careful with Lane here. I'd be shocked if he played.
Yeah, I would be floored if he played. He's not. I think it's a pretty safe assumption that he wouldn't, just given the nature of the injury, and you want to make sure he's as close to
Right.
100% as possible. Now, it's an interesting conundrum here for the Eagles. Do you play your starters? Do you not? If it were me, I mean, first of all, this isn't you don't have a 90-man training camp roster. Some starters are going to have to play. It would make sense for those like Tyler Steen and Fred Johnson. But if you're talking about Saquon, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Zach Bond, Jalen Carter, I'm not playing any of those players.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, did A.J. Brown not get hurt in that Giant game 2 years ago?
He did get hurt.
And you saw how
and then
ugly
they
it was.
pulled everybody.
Yeah, and you saw how bad it was against the Bucs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You don't want that again. So I know that basically the way it works is this is the day they decide it. It should be today. And then they tell the players typically what's going to happen as the week progresses, and they come to work tomorrow. So the other injuries. Now, Britton Covey, see, I slowed that thing down. You know, I'm watching the game. I'm like, oh, no, I hope it's not. It looked terrible.
That's what I said.
clipped.
As soon as it happened, I said, oh, no.
And then I slowed it down. I'm like, you know what? I think it's his quad or his thigh. We'll see if he's even listed. But you know he was fine. So the good return that he had, he was like, yeah. I'm like, he's fine. He's fine. Because first of all, he wouldn't be able to come back and play. It's just kind of funny because first half, a couple guys went down. Then the big one to me, and it was worrisome, was Jalen Phillips. It's his left foot or ankle. Now, you saw him on the sideline for a little bit, then he came back and never came out again.
Yeah.
We'll even see if he's listed, but, you know, that's turf, by the way, they have there.
He's another guy that I would not play
with his injury
this week.
Oh.
And by the way, he hasn't had a bye week yet this season.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, because he came over at the trade.
Oh, good,
yeah.
good nugget there. I did not know that.
That's somebody that I definitely wouldn't play in this one either. And we should also mention that Cameron Latu, who had the stinger going into this game, he didn't play last week, but if you noticed, he was wearing a cowboy collar for his neck.
Right, he played this. Yeah, well, he played this past game, and
but he had some protection.
Oh, he had a neck collar on.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, Braden Mann, that punt was he's elite, and Latu. Look, I know he's been great. You got to be careful. You got to know where you are because that punt would have put him on the 1 inch line.
Yeah, that's tough.
a tough one.
That's a
but he's
tough
been
play.
great. And
yeah.
what are you going to do? Their special teams are getting better. Now Washington, it's really funny, Andrew. They played them 2 weeks ago. The same guys are out. Okay, Jane Daniels will practice but will not play.
Right.
Eckler's out for the season, torn Achilles. Luke McCaffrey broke his collarbone. He won't be back. Zach Ertz, our buddy, towards right ACL. He's out. Now, this was new from last week in terms of not playing. Laramie Tunsil, their left tackle, has an oblique strain. Those side injuries are tough. Pitchers in baseball are out 6 to 8 weeks with this injury. It's hard to play with. Brandon Coleman, who started last year, the Commanders learned, Andrew, he's not a left tackle. He's too short. He's a better right tackle guard. He's filling in. Their 2 ends are out for the season. Dietrich Wise, right quadriceps tear. That's a 9-month rehab. And Dorrance Armstrong, the other one, towards ACL. That's why, we talk about Jacob Martin. You were here 2 weeks ago. We were talking about Jacob Martin.
Yeah.
He has to start. He was really good like 8 years ago. Marshawn Lattimore's out. ACL, Trey Amos. I know you talked about him before the draft. Broken ankle. They're so beat up. Now, here's one thing, and I know that Vic Fangio was, and we'll talk about the press conferences later, but Vic was asked about it. Dan Quinn was asked about the Eagles going for 2 points, right? 2 weeks ago. He's like, well, we'll see them in 2 weeks. Now, you could read that a bunch of ways. What's he going to do? Dan Quinn is not a guy who would do something dirty. He wouldn't do that.
Well, he wouldn't, but you can.
But the players,
yeah.
right? He wouldn't tell them to do anything, but. Not that should be a determinant of whether you rest your players or not, but it just puts another thing on the stack of rest versus playing.
Yeah, I mean, that's another factor. Washington-Philadelphia games have historically been pretty chippy.
Frankie Louvu, thank you.
Yeah, you have Frankie Louvu, and you have a lot of younger players who I imagine are going to be playing in that game for Washington that are trying to make their mark. And, I mean, I just don't think that there's a whole lot to gain out of it. Plus, I mean, I believe that the Eagles' second and third teamers could play with Washington and beat them. They're going against Josh Johnson. I mean, I think all that you take all of that into consideration. It's not an easy decision, but it should be when it comes to resting players like Jordan Mailata and some of those guys that have been banged up throughout the season.
Yeah, and Jenkins is used. How many have they used of his 3 elevations? Do you know?
2.
2, okay.
And 3 for Andre Sam, 2 for Brandon Johnson.
I know Sam was done. I know that. And Brandon Johnson is a guy that is an undrafted free agent out of Oregon who they cross-trained in training camp. I remember seeing it. It's like, oh, wow, he's lining up at safety. That's interesting. And
he's
built
him.
like a nickel. Yeah, he's built like a nickel. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do because, as we just talked about, you got to have your starter for the playoffs. Any chance that they have to make another run. And I'm going to say it again. We could talk all we want about, okay, the offense, they cannot play a full game. That's fine. It's the truth. But there are no dominant teams in the National Football League this year. The Eagles are absolutely capable of making another run. We're not fans here. We call it down the middle.
Sure.
But no one is much better than anyone this season in the National Football League. That's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if you zoom out and look just at the NFC, all those teams have imperfections. And we're not sitting here saying the Eagles don't, because they certainly do. But I think all things being equal, Adam, you show a little deference to a team that has demonstrated performance in the postseason, that know what to expect, and you know they're not going to enter it wide-eyed, versus someone like a Sam Darnold or Matt LaFleur, who the Eagles have fared well against, or Caleb Williams and a young Chicago Bears team. I think you feel fairly well about the Eagles heading into the postseason.
Because if you look at who the Eagles had inactive last week, okay, we got to talk about Nakobe Dean. That's the next injury. So he's got a hamstring strain. Obviously, he's not playing this week.
No.
Those things you got to make sure that this thing is totally healed. Because what happens is fluid builds up, and the higher up it is in your hamstring, the worse it is. The lower it is, the less you'll be away. So they got to get that ready. And I know you've talked to Josh Uche. Mm-hmm. So he's a guy this week. Now he played very well before he's been weekly inactive. So when you're in the locker room with him, I mean, what's his mindset?
Yeah, I love Josh Uche. He has a positive mindset. We and him talked a lot about him working on his power rush. And it was funny, the week that we were talking about the power rush, it was against the Minnesota Vikings. And he won and got his first sack as an Eagle off of a power rush. So he's kept a positive mindset and just kind of doing whatever the team needs of him, going hard in practice and waiting for his opportunity. Now, he was on the kickoff team, but he sort of gave way for other players. And now, and I mentioned this to someone when he was inactive, I said, don't be surprised. Josh Uche is going to get another sack before the season's over.
Might be
and
this week.
But I was looking at week 18. I said, if nothing else, he's going to play
is
week
that why
18.
you did it? Well, that's probably why. That's a good reason why. Now, Mac McWilliams is active last week, did not play. It would make sense for him to be the nickel this week. If the starters rest, let him be the nickel. Drew Kennel, let him start at center or guard. He could play both, but he's really built to play center.
They also have Michael Carter, who can
do
play
it, who was
both.
away for a personal issue for personal reasons, who was not with the team last week. And then what you do is you could start Tanner McKee, who was active, obviously did not play. Hurts is taking all the playing time. And then Sam Howell is also a former Commander. It is funny that he's on this team. I still believe that when McKee broke the finger, that's why they made the trade. They didn't know he'd be back so soon. Because it was just kind of odd. Like, why are you adding a third-string quarterback that had something to do with it?
Well, maybe they're looking down the line.
Howell's on the last year of his rookie deal. I'm pretty certain of that.
Is he?
But though, if they liked him and they traded McKee, it's a different reason.
That's what I mean. Maybe they're looking at with the future in mind.
Now, A.J. Dillon, healthy and active last week. He's been a healthy and active pretty much the entire season.
Since October, since he fumbled in the Giants game.
And he played since then, which is interesting. Look, you can't have 4 backs active, so he could have a big role on Sunday. Other guys who could play a lot. Now, this is interesting when we talk about injuries and playing time, because this week it's kind of tied together. How much do you think BG would play on Sunday?
I think he would play a lot.
How many snaps do you think? Take a guess. Or percentage. Just give me percentage.
I'll say 20 to 23.
Okay. 20. Okay. Darius Cooper might start.
Oh, I think Darius Cooper would have.
Good player,
I think he would have. He'd be a player to watch if you're looking for someone on the offensive side to have a big game.
The guys who would probably play a lot would be Sidney Brown, Jacorian Bennett. What a good opportunity to let him start.
Get some good tape out there.
Exactly. Our guy Cam Latu. Smile Mondin could start because they start 2 inside backers. Brandon Johnson could play nickel or safety.
If they elevate him.
Yep. Brett Toth would start. He would absolutely start. Byron Young would start. Kylan Granson. Jenkins, as you said, has one more elevation left, so they can make a decision who wants.
But they also have Calcaterra.
But here's the thing: how much? It also comes down to how much 12 you're going to play.
Yeah.
You got to have 3. You got to have at least 2 tight ends up. Calcaterra somehow is still the 2 over Latu. It's beyond me.
But here's the issue, because they also have to elevate Charlie Hewlett from the practice squad because they need a long.
We shouldn't need to mention that he resigned. He cleared waivers and resigned to the practice squad. Go ahead. Yep.
So you start to look at it. They have Jake Majors on the practice squad, who's a center/guard. You have to elevate Charlie Hewlett. You might need another safety, which Andre Sam's out of elevations. Brandon Johnson has one more left. If you need another corner who can also play safety, it's really interesting.
So I came up with this on Inside the Birds. We've come up with a lot of phrases. Jeff's big one I love is 2 things can actually be true, because people think it has to be this or that. There's no context. And I came up with the roster tango in 2018, 2019. And then we did it like crazy with the COVID rules when they created this. There was no elevations. There was no such thing, like they have now. So they came up with all sorts of ways you could bring a guy up so you don't have to put him through waivers. So it's funny. And I've never seen Howie be so aggressive with the practice squad. The guy could be cut on Monday. He's back on Tuesday. But why are you doing it? Sometimes we can't figure it out why he's doing it. Very odd.
Yeah, maybe you're trying to get some guys paid for the week and things like that. But I think it's interesting. They have a sort of a network of players that they want to keep within that practice squad that they like and value, and they want to continue to develop.
All right, that was our injury review brought to you by the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689. That's 215-806-3689. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Pro Football Report.
Chickies and Pete's reminds you it's a wonderful life. The last thing I remember, I was outside Chicky and Pete's.
Of course, George. Chicky and Pete's is Philadelphia's most decorated and award-winning restaurant.
I give each of the kids a Chicky and Pete's gift card. It's the gift that always fits.
It's almost as good as getting your wings.
Yeah, that's right, Clarence. You can get your wings at Chicky's, and crab fries and lobster pizza and a hot beef sandwich.
You see, George, it really is a wonderful place, this Chicky and Pete's.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
When an Eagles player gets hurt, the team takes care of him. When you get hurt, the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will take care of you. They understand that a severe accident can be a life-altering event. You need a reliable teammate to fight for you. The attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will get you great results. And if there's no recovery, there's no fee. Contact them today at 215-750-0110 for a free consultation. 215-750-0110 for a reliable ally that's on your side.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco.
All righty, everybody. You're listening to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. It's time now for this week's Penworth Financial Keys to the Game. The key to your financial future is Penworth Financial. Call them today at 267-997-4503 or visit them at penworth.com. All right, Andrew. So to me, no matter who the quarterback is, and this game will be at the link at 425. Wait, I haven't even looked at the weather yet, which is rare for me. I was
going to say, what's the weather?
I know. I will look at that in a second. But stay aggressive, Patullo, not for a quarter or two quarters, for the entire game. Don't take the foot off the pedal. And to Sirianni's credit, Andrew, he didn't deny this was an issue, okay? Because we all saw it, and the numbers bear it out. It was terrible in the second half.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what I said earlier. The communication between he and Patullo has got to be better during the game. But to me, Andrew, stay aggressive.
Yeah, they have to stay aggressive, and I think you want to see some of the younger players and where they are in terms of their development, and that would be Tanner McKee, Will Shipley, who we've had on this show, Cameron Latsu, Mac McWilliams, who's my rookie diary subject this season. There's a lot of players that I'm really looking forward to seeing play in this game that have been putting in a lot of hard work behind the scenes. But yes, Kevin Patullo, stay aggressive. Try to learn from some of the shortcomings that have surfaced throughout the season and try to get that rectified going into the postseason.
And what I want to see from whoever's at quarterback, if it's Hurts, which should be a surprise, you know what, man? And let's put it this way: if the way a lot of teams do it, they call it, it's like a preseason tune-up. You get them in, you get them out for a quarter. Like if you're going to play him, you don't play him for more than a quarter. But be aggressive, whoever the quarterback is. If it's McKee, you know he's an aggressive thrower. But Patullo's got to call it like it's a playoff game, no matter who he's got.
Yeah.
Stay aggressive. The pass protection, it's mostly been good this season. No, the run blocking has been downhill. Thumbs down. Not very good. They got blown up in the second half last week, Andrew. Now, if it's the backups who are playing, even so, they've got to be better. Like this, I'm still kind of in awe in a bad way how bad this offensive line is in run blocking. It's just hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, this is as big of a game for Kevin Patullo as it is for those playing in this one because you're able to kind of work on your comfortability, your sequencing without a ton of pressure. I mean, there's always pressure each and every week. I'm not trying to dismiss that. But you're able to kind of fine-tune things from his perspective going into the postseason. I mean, that's the way that I'm doing it.
All right, let's get to the defense. So, if the starters rest, who do you think – who would this game be big for? What would you look for to these backups play? Who would you have your eye on? Because there are a lot of them.
Yeah, so I'll give you some on both sides of the ball. Tanner McKee, Will Shipley. I would say Brett Toth at center because I think he's done a really nice job when his number's been called this season. Drew Kendall, for those who want to see a young offensive lineman play. I know I've gotten a lot of questions about him and why he hasn't gotten some opportunities. So he would be a player to keep an eye on there. Darius Cooper, the wide receiver, is someone who I've had conversations with this season.
Number 80. Yeah.
I wrote a story about him on InsideTheBirds.com about how he's really taken to the blocking aspect of his job. Then on the defensive side, I would say Mac McWilliams, the rookie corner, who I talk with every week on Inside the Birds for my rookie diary. I would also look at Smile Mondin and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. as two players that I think could have a pretty big week there. At linebacker.
The guys that I'm looking for is Jacorian Bennett, okay? This is an opportunity to get him to start. I know it's been a rough go for him. He had the injury earlier this season. He had both shoulder problems with the Raiders. It hasn't worked out at all like they thought when they made the trade. Did they give 2 draft picks for him or 1?
I think it was just the one.
No,
I thought it was just Thomas Booker. I thought it was just Thomas Booker.
Okay, I don't remember. But bottom line is they gave Thomas Booker.
Yeah, I think it was just a player for player.
It's funny because early in the season when Byron Young wasn't playing, people were like, man, I can't believe they gave up Booker. He's starting for the Raiders, which is true. But now nobody's talking about it because Byron Young's been he's been a really good player for them.
BUI's been a nice player, and I think when we look back on this season, those 3 games where Jalen Carter wasn't there, Byron Young had 2.5 sacks. He played 74 snaps. He had 3 quarterback hits. So I think he's been a nice piece of that rotation and kind of helped them ably navigate that time where they didn't have Jalen Carter.
So I want to see Mac McWilliams, who's really built like a nickel, who's an aggressive player. I'm interested to see what he can do because he's another guy down the road. Michael Carter's got an enormous contract for next year. He would have to take a major pay cut to come back. I mean, there's barely he's played.
Yeah.
Though they cross-train him at safety and nickel, but I would like to see. Well, also Michael Carter for this game, but I want to see Mac McWilliams because you and I saw this at training camp.
I'm excited to see
He had
Mac.
a good training camp, and whatever. We're not there at practice in the regular season, so you don't play if they're not happy with the way you look in practice because they watch the tape, and if they're not happy, you don't play.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with special teams. He had an opportunity to be a gunner against the Buccaneers. He didn't fare particularly well in that area, and he has a slighter build. We've seen that in the past. Eli Ricks was a corner who didn't really factor in on game day last season because he wasn't a factor on special teams. And if you're a depth corner and you're not helping them defensively, you have to be able to help in the third phase.
Here's another guy, and this is a guy everyone their mother was excited about in the spring when they drafted him in the 4th round out of Nebraska. It's Ty Robinson.
Yeah.
You know, he's had some good snaps. He's flashed a little bit, but he barely plays. This is just a wonderful opportunity, and they're going to go against Washington starters. If it goes like we think it's going to go, and mostly backups, or the backups play the majority of the game, this is a great opportunity for a guy like Ty Robinson who needs the reps, who is more, you wouldn't call him a project, but he was far behind. Greg Cosell told us, because he had asked us, Andrew, what did we know about Ty Robinson? We said, flashes, but needs more work. He needs way, because his preseason tape, Greg said he's really far behind, being ready to go. And Greg liked his tape as well at college, at Nebraska. So this is a good opportunity here, Andrew, for guys to get out there. You call it, I mean, we could call it keys to the game because it is. The keys to the game is these guys to get playing time.
It absolutely is a key to the game, Adam. You hit the nail on the head because they're going to need these guys at some point, and you want to see what they're able to do beyond preseason, going up against NFL caliber players, starters, in some regards there for Washington. Ty Robinson's a player that I really want to see, and we talked about him earlier. Josh Uche is another player you should be highlighting in this game because he's had some bright moments. He's been the 4th or 5th edge rusher, had a sack, had another one against the Giants that was taken away off the board there where he forced the fumble. He's hungry. He's going to want to put some good tape out there, so that's somebody that you should be keeping an eye on.
And I want to get back to Tanner McKee. I'll tell you another reason why it's important. So 26 is the last year of his contract, right? I felt all along they will not trade him unless they get a first. They're going to be at least a half a dozen teams that need a starting quarterback. Okay, this kid, you know it. I mean, I remember when Will Shipley was sitting in the seat you're in, okay, when we interviewed him here, right here at Chickies and Roosevelt Boulevard. I said, tell us about Tanner McKee. He smiled. He goes, you go to training camp, you see it. It's what we see in practice. And I know what that meant because the Mormon Missile, as
Jordan Mailata coined
calls
it,
him.
yeah.
So get great tape. The Giants tape's good. Get more recent tape. Get good tape. He's not going to play Bailey. He's a quick processor. He's got a great arm. His mobility, Andrew, is 2 years ago, I thought he was a statue. He moves better than you think.
Yeah, he moves a little bit better than I think we all thought, but he's far from Jalen Hurts in that regard. But, yes, he has a quick trigger. He processes quickly. I would expect the passing game to have a little bit of life depending on what the weather situation looks like. We don't know yet. But I'm really interested to see what he's able to do with this expanded opportunity.
Tell us about that Darius Cooper piece that you did for InsideTheBirds.com.
Yeah, so with Darius, one thing that I pride myself on is taking stock of different things in the locker room. I wrote a little thing in my notebook about Cameron Latu having different personalized handshakes with different teammates, whether it was Jalen Hurts, Grant Calcaterra, Keely Ringo, and I asked different players about the origins of that.
Yeah.
So with Darius Cooper, I noticed his blocking prowess, especially against the long run that Saquon had in the Chargers game and different things like that, being in on the push play where he protects the edge. And this is a player who never had to block anybody at Tarleton State because he was their offense. So it's a whole different ball game now when you're asked to do that at the NFL level, and I think he's responded well. He credited Patrick McDowell, who does some good things behind the scenes in terms of player development. He was a former scout. Byron Young also mentioned how much he helps them. And if you watch Hard Knocks, if you pay attention to the meeting rooms, the defensive line meeting rooms, he's sitting in the front row. He credited him for helping him with his development before and after practice, and then now he says he doesn't have to do that as much because he sort of has, the base level understanding.
That's our Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. Andrew, give the people, what is your it's A DiCecco on X, by the way?
Andrew DiCecco.
Andrew, I can't remember, yeah. Okay. Oh, you use the whole name, do you really?
Yeah. Huh. There's only one, I guess.
That's fun. No, because
eventually, at one time they had that handle already taken, and I guess the guy, it was idle for so long, and then eventually it was available one day when I looked for it, and now there I have it.
Who knew? You listen to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. We're at Chickie and Pete's on Roosevelt Boulevard. We're here till 7. And Andrew, and we'll talk about this right after the break because I want to get into that. We have the coordinators' press conferences, which is interesting because Patullo is going to have to address it. We'll talk about what he talked about after this break. And Michael Clay, who's the special teams coordinator, has done a really good job. And Vic Fangio, who – one of the things I love about Vic is most coaches rarely tell the truth, or they give you a partial truth. Vic is the man.
He's a truth teller, man.
I wonder, not that Howie or Jeffrey could tell him what to do, or anyone, or of course Sirianni, who technically works for. But you ask him a question, he answers. Have you gotten any on with this year? Is there anyone you ask more to of the coaches?
Vic and Michael Clay.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially in training camp. You always get a lot of really good stuff about younger players, how they're coming along, and things like that. But Vic's always very candid. You can get a lot of questions into a Vic Fangio press conference because he answers so succinctly, and you're able to kind of move on.
Well, he does go quick, but sometimes he gives you better detail. So, by the way, what is your process this week? Because this is Week 18, the last week of the regular season. The Eagles don't have a bye. Then they'll be hosting a home game in the wild card round. What's your process? What do you got going on this week?
That's a great question. So tomorrow, the Eagles have a walkthrough, so that won't be open to the media. Nick Sirianni speaks at 11:20. But this is a week where you want to balance your coverage in which you talk to some players who you believe are going to be playing in this game, so you can talk to them a little bit more and kind of peel back layers of the onion for what they've been dealing with behind the scenes and how they're approaching this week. And then you also want to try to get a sense, looking ahead, about some of those starters and how they're approaching that postseason run. So that'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday when they have open locker room, and then of course.
Oh, it's 3 days they have open locker room. Okay. How long do you get in there for?
45 minutes.
And is it 15? It's about 20 minutes or half an hour after practice is done, or whatever they do that day.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably about 15, 20 minutes after.
So the way it would work was when Andy Reid was here, when I was like the only one who went to the Friday practice. See, Andy before one of the local reporters got us shut down because he asked a player in the locker room about something he saw in practice, which you're not allowed to do. And he said, you can go to the full practice, but you can't report on anything you see. I was fine with it, man. I love going to practice, as you do.
Oh, I love it.
So they made an offensive line change. He goes, I'm not going to say who it was. It's the guy still covering the team, maybe. But I just remember when I guess Derek Boyko, the then PR director, told us, we're done. You're done. You guys aren't coming back. You're not going to practice anymore. Other than they only give, back then it was 20 minutes. Is it 15 now you get to watch?
Well, it's about 25 on Thursday. Wednesday, okay. if it's a regular practice, it's about 5 to 7 minutes. Or if it's a walkthrough, none. And then Friday's about 5 minutes.
So then we got cut down to 20, and I was just heartbroken because I learned so much by going to practice. Because yes, I had a running joke. When McNabb would struggle in the Friday practice, almost like clockwork, he would struggle in the game. I don't know why. On the show that I do with John Hansen, we did for 20 years on Sirius XM, because he would go, okay, give me the McNabb barometer. And I couldn't talk about what I saw, but I could talk about what it just, I don't think he looked great. I don't think he was accurate. It wasn't always like that, but more often than not, if he had a bad Friday practice, which is the last of the week for a Friday game, and as you know, the Friday practice is the shortest.
Yep.
Wednesday or Thursday, every team looks at it differently, but there's an install day is Wednesday. Thursday, then you go over what you just installed, and then Friday's the final tune, and then you've got the Saturday walkthrough. So
I love practice, man. Yeah. If you really pay attention, you can get a lot of value. You can get a lot of value even out of those 10 to 15 minutes if you really pay attention to certain details.
And what details would those be?
Taking stock of who's out there. If you see, whether it's a player who's working off to the side with the trainer who is in line to potentially be coming back. Yep. If there's player, like I look at Thursday practice, right? And every Thursday practice, you see Christian Parker working with Quinyon Mitchell and Adoree Jackson. And then one week, Brandon Johnson was with them. Now, It didn't end up that he was elevated, but it was interesting to note.
All right, everyone, you're listening to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Looking for the best place to host your holiday party this season? Look no further than your neighborhood Chickies and Pete's. We offer a variety of party packages to make your holiday gathering merry and bright. Hosting your own party? Chickies comes to you with our to-go catering, complete with all your Chicky and Pete's favorites. Plus, add a hometown flair to any event with our Chickies and Pete's food truck, the Crab Fries Express. Your place or ours, take the stress out of the holidays with help from Chickies and Pete's.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco.
All right, everyone, you're listening to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan and Andrew DiCecco from Inside the Birds. We're produced tonight by our friend Chris Ermer here right at Chicky and Pete's at Roosevelt Boulevard. Next week, are we in Warrington next week?
Yeah.
It will be you, we know for sure.
It'll be me, yes.
See who else is going to be hosting with you.
We're working out the details.
Yeah. So, all right, Andrew, let's talk about it. It's funny. Do they do corner just through Zoom now? Is that how they do it, or do they do it in the auditorium?
The Monday day after game is video conference,
Okay.
and then every Tuesday is coordinators are in the auditorium.
Okay. But that's all you get, and then you go home. I mean, you just write about it, or you go home after that?
Yeah, I mean, in these truncated schedules that we've been having on the shortened weeks, they'll have practice and then locker room later.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, that's about it.
All right, let's get to Kevin Patullo. So he knew he was going to be asked right off within the first two questions what happened in the second half. His answer, like he doesn't, more often than not, like Fangio will answer the question directly. He never shies away. He never sugarcoats anything. I think too often Patullo talks in circles. Now, I did find it interesting, though. He did admit, Andrew, that they're still going through that, which typically on Tuesday, the players don't come into Wednesday. I understand that. But they're still trying to figure out what's going on, what happened in the second half. That did surprise me that he said that.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's also fair to be concerned that we're now at week 18, and you're still trying to figure out.
Fair? I think it's scary.
You're still trying to figure out where they how to overcome these sticking points. So, I mean, you like the transparency there, but it's time to find answers because, look, I mean, the lights get a little bit brighter in a couple weeks here.
This offensive line, Andrew, we got to talk about it. I probably asked you this before. We have to bring it up again. What did you see in training camp for this offensive line?
I couldn't have foreseen that what we saw right now.
That's why I asked you.
Put it that way. I mean, I thought that.
you would. I wasn't sure if you'd say that though.
I thought Mailata had a good camp. Tyler Steen was a player that was widely lauded from all the offensive linemen, from Jeff Stoutland. Cam Jurgens didn't work as much because he was coming off the back surgery.
Which I think has hurt him. Yeah.
Landon had a good camp when he was out there. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to envision how that's going to translate until you get on the playing field and the games are going on. But they haven't played the standard. And I think a lot of that has to do with being banged up. Look, they played 21 games last season. They played it in February. You have OTAs. You're right back at it. For someone like Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, they had off-season procedures.
Who were rehabbing. They weren't practicing, right.
So, yeah, I mean, and you look at the grueling nature of the way that the Eagles played offense last year. That was a lot that was placed on the shoulders of those offensive linemen and not a lot of recovery time. So I think we probably should have looked a little bit deeper into that as a collective, as a collective going into it, and maybe not looked at Saquon and how he was going to respond as much as we all did.
How much do you think Saquon, because he's been good the last 5 weeks, but do you think he was trying too hard earlier in the season when it was really bad?
I do. And I think as evidenced by his answers in recent weeks talking about dirty yards and angry runs, and if it's blocked for 3, get 3. If it's blocked for 4, get 4. Don't try to hit that home run. And you may remember this, Adam, going into the draft, he acknowledged that his MO was that he was too home run reliant, and he kind of bristled at that notion.
Aware of that, yeah.
But, I mean, you see it sometimes. But when you're so accustomed to running through these truck-sized holes last season and they're not there and you want to make an impact and you're trying to hit the home run, sometimes you're pressing and you're doing a little bit too much.
What I'd like to see in this game is, whether starters play or not, if Barkley's playing a cameo role for a quarter, again, I'd be very surprised if he played, but I want to see Tank Bigsby. We say this every week. Can he get more touches? Can he get more carries? Like last week was a perfect opportunity. You can't run. It was like running into a wall. They could not do anything well at all in the second half. Bigsby had 2 carries. Why don't you try something else? That's the part about coaching. It's not just this group. And Andy Reid used to frustrate me. And I understood analytically why you throw the ball early and run to win. Joe Banner taught me that when we worked together at ESPN, because he showed me the charts. I was like, wow, if you go back to the 60s, if you throw it more than you run it, you're going to win over 60% of the time. It's just, it can't really be challenged. It's a fact. But when the quarterback's struggling or you can't move the football, try something else. Well, here's something else here. You're running to a wall. You talked about it earlier in the show when I asked you about it. Try somebody else, because Bigsby, by the way, he tries to break everything outside. And he's usually right.
Everything, yeah. And then they do the occasional draw play on 3rd and long to Shipley, but yeah, you got to mix it up. And I am curious to see whether it's A.J. Dillon, Will Shipley, if they're able to kind of generate something from an offensive standpoint in terms of the running game, because that's something that we haven't seen with consistency at any point this season. And there's going to be different players, and they're blocking for them. I understand that. But I am curious to see if they're able to kind of build off of anything.
Let's get to Victor Fangio from nearby. What town is it again? I know it's near Wilkes-Barre. I just can't remember.
It's going to bother me. He went to East Stroudsburg and
coached for the Stars in 1985.
Yeah, it's going to bother me because I thought I knew everything about Vic Fangio.
But it's fun. He's near Wilkes-Barre. But anyway, so Fangio, today, your thoughts. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, Vic Fangio is always very candid, and I think talking about Jahad Campbell, for example, and how he performed, he mentioned that he thought he did pretty well, and that they may need Jahad Campbell at some point.
Right.
At some point down the line here, and he mentioned, what else was he? Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter looked well. I mean, look at the snaps that he played. I think he played 76% of the snaps first game back after 3 games, and he mentioned the impact that he had. I just really appreciate.
And the tackling, keep going.
Yeah, he also talked about how this team tackles and plays football, and he kind of equated it in a different way to the Eagles' defense of last season, because if you remember, going into this year, he said, "Oh, look, we're going to be asking a lot of different players," and he went down the list. And it had yet to be determined. And he said, yeah, this year was the same thing. We needed other players to step up, and they did. So I think he kind of drew a parallel to that.
Yeah, and he discussed how well they've tackled this season. And you have to remember.
He's from Dunmore, Pennsylvania.
Dunmore, thank you, yes. But the tackling, Andrew, for this team, other than the Chicago game, which was an embarrassment, obviously they gave up 200-yard rushers in the first half against the Bears, but overall, their tackling is really good. And that was less about tackling. That was not even being in the gaps. That was just bad gap control.
Oh, yeah.
But you've got Bobby King, the linebackers coach, who I know you've written about him before, who's fantastic.
Block destruction, that's what he talks about a lot.
Block destruction, which is really good. And then Clint Hurt, I remember Jeff and I talked about when they hired him, because we did a background check. We talked to people who work with him. And you see it on Hard Knocks, by the way. He coaches hard.
Oh, yeah.
Really hard.
Oh, yeah.
And you got a coach. I think he takes after his boss, Vic, because they are no nonsense.
All of those guys are no nonsense. You look at Christian Parker, Bobby King, Clint Hurt. I can't say enough good things about the assistant coaches that Vic has filled out his coaching staff with, and the Eagles have, because they are rooted in teaching the fundamentals, the why behind why they ask them to do certain things, and I think you can see the development across the board.
What does this team do, Andrew, as we get ready to close the show? What do they have to do to get back to the Super Bowl?
I think they need to reestablish the running game. I think, and I understand that this late in the game, it's not likely that they're going to, but they have to be able to. I mean, Saquon should be able to get 80 yards a game, 85 yards a game. For the Eagles to be efficient offensively, they have to be able to tap into that running game, whether that's implementing Tank Bigsby a little bit more or the offensive line maybe optimizing this week if they don't have to play as much. But that's going to be the key, as well as protecting the football and avoiding costly turnovers.
To me, it's the offensive coordinator being aggressive. Don't pull your foot off the gas pedal. He clearly did. Okay, Sirianni admitted it he didn't have to say it. He talked about it in his own way after the Buffalo game. The offensive line, somehow they got to get their energy back. I have no idea what's going on here in the run game. I agree with you. I couldn't tell in trade. It's hard to tell. They look fine. And plus, and you made a good point, Juergens rehabbing, missing the entire offseason. Dickerson missing the offseason. They clearly don't look right, and that's something to look at. So hopefully they're going to get their rest.
And close out games.
Yes, that's another thing. Next week we'll do our top 10. So that was Andrew DiCecco. I'm Adam Caplan. You're listening to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. We will be at Chicky and Pete's next week in Warrington, PA, right up 611. We'll talk to you then.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.